It was finally making sense. He did want us to widen our views, to see what Miss Martin could not see, his employees could not see, or my dad for that matter. He used examples that sounded cruel at the time, but I've never forgetting them. My vision widened that day, and I could begin to see the trap that lay ahead for most people. You see, we all employees ultimately, we just work at different levels, said Rich Dad. I just want you boys to have a chance to avoid the trap. The trap caused by those who emotions, fear and desire, use them in your favor, not against you. That's what I want to teach you. I'm not interested in just teaching you to make a pile of money that won't handle the fear or desire. If you don't first handle fear and desire, you get rich, you'll only be a high paid slave. So, how do you avoid the trap? I asked. The main cause of poverty or financial struggle is fear and ignorance, nor the economy, nor the government, or the rich. It's self inflicted fear and ignorance that keep people trapped. So you boys go to school and get your college degrees. I'll teach you how to stay out of the trap. The piece of the puzzle were appearing. My highly educated dad had a great education and a great career, but the school never told him how to handle money or his fear. It became clear that I could learn different important thing from two fathers. So you have been talking about the fear of not having money. How does the desire of money affect our thinking? Mike asks. How did you feel when I tempted you with a pay raise? Did you notice your desire rising? We nodded our head. By not giving in your emotions, you were able to delay your reaction and think. That is the most important. We will always have emotions of fear and greed. From here on in, it is the most important for you to use the most emotion to your advantage and for the long term, and not simply let your emotions run you by controlling your thinking. Most people use fear and greed against themselves. That's the start of ignorance. Most people live their life chasing paycheck, pay raises, and job security because of the emotions of desire and fear, not really questioning where those emotions driving thoughts are leading them. It's just like the picture of a donkey dragging a cart with its owner dangling a carrot just in front of the donkey nose. The donkey's owner may be going where he wants to go, but the donkey is chasing an illusion. Tomorrow, there will only be another carrot for the donkey. You mean the moment I begin to picture a new baseball glove, candy, and toys, that's like carrot to a donkey, Mike said. Yeah, and you get older, your toys get more expensive, a new car, a boat, and big house to impress your friends, said Rich Dad with a smile. Fear pushes you out the door, and desire calls to you, enticing you towards the rock. That's the trap. So so what's the answer, Mike asks? What intensify fear and desire is ignorance. That is why rich people with lots of money often have more fear. The richer they get. Money is the carrot, the illusion. If the donkey could see the whole picture, it might rethink its choice to chase the carrot. Rich Dad went to explain that a human life is a struggle between ignorance and illumination. He explained that once a person is stopped searching for information, knowledge of one's own self, ignorance set in. That struggle, a movement to movement decision to learn to open or close one's mind. Look School is very, very important. You go to school to learn a skill or profession so as to be a contributing member of society. Every culture needs teacher, doctor, mechanics, artists, cooks, business people, police officer, firefighter, soldier. School train them Schools train them so our culture can thrive and flourish. Said Rich that unfortunately for many people, the school is the end, not the beginning. There was a long silence. Rich Dad was smiling. I did not comprehend everything he said that day, but as with those great teachers whose words continue to teach for years, often long after they are gone, his words are still with me today. I've been a little cruel today, said Rich Dad. Cruel for a reason. I want you to always remember this talk. I want you to always think of Miss Martin. I want you always to think of the donkey. Never forget because your two emotions, fear and desire, can lead you into life's biggest trap. If you are not aware of them controlling your thinking to spend our lives living in fear, never exploring your dreams is cruel. To work hard for money, thinking that money will buy you things that will make you happy is also cruel. To wake up in the middle of the night terrified about paying bills is a horrible way to live. To live a life dedicated by the size of a paycheck is not really life. Thinking that a job will make you feel secure is lying to yourself. That's cruel. And that's the trap I want you to avoid if possible. I've seen how many runs people life. Don't let that happens to you. Please don't let money runs your life. A softball roll under our table, Rich Dad pick it up and threw it back. So what does ignorance have to do with greed and fear, I ask? Because it is ignorance about money that causes so much greed and so much fear. And sad rich that. Let me give you some example. A doctor wanting more money to better provide for his family raises his fees. By raising his fees, it's make healthcare more expensive for everyone. Now it hurts the poor people the most. So poor people have worse health than those with money because the doctor raised their rates, the attorney raised their rates because the attorney rates their because the attorneys rates have gone up. The school teachers want a raise which raises our taxes and on and on and on. Soon there will be a such horrifying gap between the rich and the poor that chaos will break out and another great civilization will collapse. Great civilization collapse when the gap between the haves and have not was too great. America is on the same course. Provide once again the history repeats itself because we do not learn from history. We only memorize historical dates and names, not the lesson. Aren't price support to go up? I ask. Not in an educated society with a well run government, price should actually come down. Of course, that is often only true in theory. Prices go up because of greed and fear caused by ignorance. If schools taught people about money, there would be more money and lower prices. But school focus only on teaching people to work for money, not how to harness money power. But don't we have business schools? Mike asks, aren't you encouraging me to go to business schools for my master degree? As said Rich Dad, but all too often business schools train employees who are sophisticated, bean counters, heaven forbid a bean counter takes over business. All they do is look at the number, fire people, kill the business. I know because I hire bean counter. All they think about is cutting costs and raising prices, which cause more problems. Bean counting is important. I wish more people knew it, but it too is not the whole picture, added Rich Dad angrily. So, is there an answer? Asks Mike. Yes, sad rich dad. Learn to use your emotions to think, not think with your emotions. When you boys master your emotions first by agreeing to work for free, I knew there was hope. When you gain resisted your emotions when I tempted you with more money, you were again learning to think in spite of being emotionally charged. That's the first step. Why is that step so important? I ask. Well, that's up to you to find out. If you want to learn, I'll take you boys into the barrier patch, that place where almost everyone else avoids. I'll take you to that place where most people are afraid to go. If you go with me, you will let go of the idea of working for money and instead learn to have money work for you. And what will we get if we go with you? What if we agree to learn from you? What will we get? I asked the same thing Barrier Rabbit got. Said Rich that freedom from the tar baby. Is there a is there a barrier patch? I asked. Yes, said Rich that the barrier patches are fear and are greed. Going into our fear and confronting our greed, our weaknesses, our neediness is the way out, and the way out is through the mind by choosing our thoughts. Choosing our thoughts, Mike asks puzzle. Yes, choosing what we think rather than reacting to our emotions instead of just getting up and going to work to solve your problem just because the fear of not having the money to pay your bills is scaring you. Thinking would be taking the time to ask yourself a question like it's working harder at this, the best solution to this problem. Most people are so terrified at not telling themselves the truth that fear is in control that they cannot think, instead run out the door. Tar baby is in control. That's what I mean by choosing your thought. And we and how do how do we do that? Mike's asks. That's what I will be teaching you. I'll teaching you to have a choice of thoughts to consider rather than knee jerk reacting, like gulping down your morning coffee and running out the door. Remember what I said before, a job is only a short term solution to a long term problem. Most people have only one problem in mind, and it's short term. It's the bill at the end of the month, the tar baby. Money now runs their life, or should I say, the fear and ignorance about money, so they do as their parents did, get up every day and go work for money, not having the time to stay. Say, is there another way their emotions now control their thinking, not their head? Can you tell the difference between emotions thinking and the head thinking? Mike asks. Oh, yes, I hear it all the time, said Rich Dad. I hear things like, well, everyone has to work, or the rich are crooks, or I'll get another job. I deserve the raise. You can't push me around. Or I like this job because it's secure instead of, is there something I'm missing here, which breaks the emotions through and give you time to think clearly. I must admit it was a great lesson to be getting to know when someone was speaking out of emotions or out of clear thought. It was a lesson that served me well for life, especially when I was the one speaking out of reacting and not from clear thoughts. As we headed back to the store, Rich Dad explained that the rich really did make money, they did not work for it. He went on to explain that when Mike and I were casting 5-cent pieces out of lead, thinking we were making money. We were very close to thinking the way the rich think. The problem was that it was illegal for us to do it. It was legal for the government and banks to do it, but not us. He explained that there are legal ways to make money and illegal ways. Rich Dad went on to explain that the rich know that money is an illusion, truly like the carrot for the donkey. It's only out of fear and greed that the illusion of money is held together by billions of people thinking that money is a real, money is really made up. It was only because of the illusion of confidence and ignorance of the masses that the house of cards stood standing. In fact, he said in many ways the donkey's carrot was more valuable than money. He talked about the gold standard that America was on and that each dollar bill was actually a silver certificate. What concerned him was the rumor that we could someday go off the gold standard and our dollars would no longer be a silver certificate. When When that happens, boys, all hell is going to break loose. The poor, the middle class, and the ignorant will have their lives ruined simply because they will continue to believe that money is really and that the company they work for or the government will look after them. We really did not understand what he was saying that day. He over the air it made more and more sense, seeing what others miss. As he climbed into his pickup truck outside of his little convenience store, he said, "Keep working, boys. By the sooner you forget about needing a paycheck, the easier your adult life will be. Keep using your brain, work for free, and soon your mind will show you ways of making money far beyond what I could ever pay you. You will see things that other people never see, opportunities right in front of their noses. Most people never see these opportunities because they're looking for money and security, so that all they get. The moment you see one opportunity, you will see them for the rest of your life. The moment you do that, I'll teach you something else. Learn this, and you will avoid one of life's biggest traps. You will never ever touch that tar baby. Mike and I pick up our things from the store and wave goodbye to Miss Martin. We went back to the park to the same picnic bench and spent several more hours thinking and talking. We spent the next week at school thinking and talking for 2 more weeks. We kept thinking, talking, and working for free. At the end of the school Saturday, I was again saying goodbye to Miss Martin and looking at the comic book stand with a longing gaze. The hard thing about not even getting 30 cents every Saturday was that I didn't have any money to buy comic books. Suddenly, as Miss Martin was saying goodbye to Mike and me, I saw something she was doing that I had never seen her do before. I mean, I had seen her do it, but I never took notice of it. Miss Martin was cutting the front page of the comic book in half. She was keeping the top half of the comic book covered and throwing the rest of the comic book into a large brown cardboard box. When I asked her why she did that comic book, she said, "I throw them away. I give the top half of the cover back to the comic book distributor for credit. When he brings in the new comic, he is coming in an hour." Mike and I waited for an hour. Soon the distributor arrived, and I asked him if we could have the comic book, to which he replied, "You can have them if you work for this store and do not rustle them."